Hello, this is Holly Bennett, and this is Kenzie. Kenzie is a 9-year-old female that we did her 3-day diet, and we are going to go over her nutritional care plan with her. So the purpose of this 3-day diet to track and to journal was to determine if she was eating enough nutritious, healthy meals during the day, and if there was anything that we can change in her diet to improve it. So Kenzie is here, as you can see. She lives with her mom full time. Her mother is just making sure that her diet is okay and would like to improve her overall health for her. Kenzie does have a family history of hypertension, diabetes, type 2, hyperlipidemia, osteoporosis. She also has a family history of skin cancer as well. Kenzie does say that she does from time to time have an occasional headache, correct?
Yes.
And oftentimes gets Charlie horses in her thighs, sometimes at night or before she goes to bed. Is that also correct?
Yes.
Okay. And at times she does have problems with some constipation. Kenzie is active. She currently dances about 3 hours a week. She likes to swim, especially now in the summer since it's hot in Pittsburgh. She swims anywhere from 3 to 6 hours a week normally. Could be more, could be less, depending on the weather. And she also weight trains with her mother at a personal trainer 2 to 3 times a week. And of course, being a 9-year-old active girl, she's outside most of the days, running up and down the neighborhood on the trampoline, on the swing set, riding bikes, or roller skating. Would that be correct as well?
Yes.
Okay. Kenzie does take a multivitamin. How often do you take that? Daily? Do you skip a day every once in a while, or are you normally taking it every day?
Every day.
And how is your water intake? Do you drink water during the day?
Yes.
And how do you drink your water? Do you use a regular cup? Do you have a water bottle that you fill? What is your goal with that?
I fill my water bottle up twice a day and I drink it.
Twice a day and you drink it. Okay. All right. So, do you have any questions for me before we get started?
No.
Okay. So, we are discussing her meal plan. First, we look at her total calories a day. As a 9-year-old who is 5'1", she weighs 114 pounds. Her blood pressure is within normal limits. It's 102/60. And for all of that, her BMI is in normal range at 21.54, which is great. You're keeping yourself active. So, for her age, her caloric intake should be around 2,200 calories. On average, for the past 3 days of the diet, her average has been about 2,400, which is a little over the target, 204 calories over target. But I don't believe that the program that we used actually takes into consideration what type of activity you are doing for the day. Because you dance a lot, you swim, you go work out at the gym, and you run around, I think that those 204 calories are not, I don't want to say greatly important, but they're not that important as well. And when we look at the breakdown of proteins, we want you to have at least 34 grams of protein. You're in the correct number. As far as your carbohydrate intake, you're right in the middle. Nothing that we need to worry about. The one thing we do have to worry about is your dietary fiber. You are lacking some fiber in your diet. If you go through your foods list, we can see that you are not eating a lot of fibrous vegetables. That is one thing that you are lacking in your diet. Good sources of fibrous foods are green leafy vegetables. Do you like to eat green leafy vegetables?
Not a leaf.
Not leafy vegetables. Okay. You do like fruits, and you do eat some whole grains, so that's great. But by adding some soluble fiber to your diet, we should be able to help with that issue of having some issues of going to the bathroom at times and not being able to go. That will help your bowel movements out a lot and make them soften. And along with increasing your water intake, that will help yourself as well. So again, dietary fiber requirements are looking at 26 grams and you're about 20. So you're under target, but not by that much. We do see that in your diet, we would like less than 55 grams of added sugar. You're at 101 grams. That's double the amount. Do you have any inkling or any, what would I like to say, any things you think that's what it's from? Do you know what added sugars are and what they're in? What?
Ice cream cones.
Ice cream cone and cookies. And what about some of the drinks you drink? What do you like to drink? Pop and Capri Suns and fruit juices. Those all have a lot of added sugars. We want to try to limit those as much as we can. So, we want to stay away from the sugary drinks. Not a lot of juice. Not a lot of soda. Watch what kind of yogurt you like, because as your diet, it looks like you like to eat a lot of yogurt. So we want to watch those added sugars. I think if we increase your water intake, we can try to limit those added sugars. And by limiting those added sugars, we can decrease your risk for heart disease, for obesity, for diabetes as well. The next thing we look at is saturated fat. We would like it less than 10% of your caloric intake. Your average right now is at 10%. So again, we're right there, nothing too concerning, but we want to make sure that as you're on the borderline that we don't add more needed saturated fat in your system. We know that saturated fat is very healthy for you and that you do have to have some, because saturated fat does work in how well your kidneys function, which helps you remove waste, how well your brain functions, because we want to know that your brain, you're at 9 years old, we want to make sure that you can get more information in there if we need to. And it also helps with cellular membrane function, making sure that, all the cells your cells reply and produce daily. We want to make sure that that's okay. So with saturated fat, we want to make sure that we are limiting the amount of milk you're drinking. Items such as mayonnaise, because I see that you like to have mayonnaise on chicken sandwiches a lot, correct?
Yes.
So we want to limit that. We know that you like sausage for breakfast. So we want to make sure that we're limiting the amount of sausage. How many pieces of sausage do you think you eat for breakfast a day? About 2?
Yeah.
Okay. The next thing we're looking at is cholesterol. We would like that under 300 milligrams. Yours is at 501 milligrams, which, again, is about double what it should be, and it's over target. The one thing that I don't think that was taken in consideration with your diet and the cholesterol was that, yes, we know that eggs are high in cholesterol if you eat the yolk. Do you eat the yolks of your eggs?
No.
No, because what kind of eggs do you like?
Hand eggs.
Hand eggs? She likes to call her hand eggs, which are hard-boiled eggs. In our household, they are called hand eggs. So we know that she does not eat the yolks of her eggs, which, again, with this program, it did not give me the option for just the egg whites. She does have dairy in her diet. Again, nothing that is too out of normal. She usually eats 1 to 2 servings of dairy a day. So I believe that the reason the calculation is higher than it is expected is because it did not take the yolks out for consideration. We know that cholesterol is increased in, of course, the yolks, meat, poultry, and dairy. So we want to make sure that we are limiting those as well. When you have an increased cholesterol in your diet at an early age, it does put you again in risk for developing heart disease, vascular disease, and we want to prevent that. You're 9 years old. This is something that we want to prevent now. So when you're at the age of 50 or 60, that you're not on 5 or 6 medications. So, like your grandfather, he takes a lot of medications daily, does he not? And what happens when he doesn't take them?
He gets sick.
Gets sick, or who yells at him for not taking his medication?
Grandma.
So we want to make sure that we prevent these different types of diseases so that when you are 50 or 60, you don't have to take any types of medication. The next thing we look at is calcium intake. We like about 1,300 milligrams. You're at 1,253. Again, right under the target. Nothing too concerning. But since you do have a good intake of calcium, we see, especially here in the United States, that most of young women do not get enough calcium in their diet by the age of 11. And with them not getting enough calcium at a young age, that continues throughout their life. A lot of people blame this because a lot of people substitute milk in the morning for a can of soda, per se. Again, especially women in their 50s, 60s, throughout menopause, they tend to not have enough calcium, and that can lead to osteoporosis. Your bones are not strong enough and can break easy. So we want to make sure that we have enough calcium in your diet now, so that the older you get, that you know how important it is to keep that calcium level and that you don't have to take a supplement. But we see that you like to eat yogurts and juices and cheeses, so we want to maybe change those yogurts, cheeses, and juices to fortified products that have more calcium in them as well. And the next we look at your potassium intake. Potassium is a very important nutrient in our body because it is something that it is called an electrolyte, and it will help, especially in your heart, how well it pumps, as well as making sure you have your electrolyte balance. We see, again, normal potassium is about 4,500 milligrams daily. You're only getting about 3,600 milligrams. Now this, having a low potassium, can be accounted for some of the Charlie horses you get at night, or that you're not stretching and you say, oh mom, I have a cramp. So by increasing our potassium intake, this might as well get rid of those Charlie horses that you have, but it also will cut and prevent, when you get older, having high blood pressure and cardiovascular disease such as stroke or heart attack. So we want to maybe increase that by adding a diet with beans and nuts. I know you're not a bean fan, but we can probably do some different recipes when it comes to lima beans. I know you like cashews, so maybe we could add more cashews to your diet. Those are higher amounts of potassium foods we can eat, rather than just a banana that doesn't have that much potassium in it and is higher on the glycemic index. So again, worried about the sugars, worrying about having too many calories in the day. Next we look at for you is your vitamin D. Vitamin D is very important. You need about 15 units, and you're about 3, so you are really lower than normal. The good thing is you take a multivitamin, which does supplement, so that will help you as well. Again, another way to add vitamin D to your diet is to go outside for about 30 to 60 minutes 5 days a week, between 10 and 3 p.m., especially to get sun on your face, your arms, and your legs. They say not to put any sunscreen, but unfortunately, that is something I do disagree with your family history of having skin cancer. We do not go outside without sunscreen, especially anything less than an SPF of 50, because number one, you are fair skinned and you tend to burn easy, and we don't want to have any issues when you get older of having skin cancer at an early age of 34, as your mother, I have had. So we want to make sure that we are taking that multivitamin, increasing some milk, and maybe increasing her fish intake, including the use of tuna fish, which I believe you like, especially with a tuna salad, and maybe even some salmon to help increase that vitamin D level. That one might be a little hard to do in our household. The next thing we look at is your vitamin E level. We like 11 milligrams. You're at 10. So again, right there on the bottom. Adding something called wheat germ, which is will help because it is a higher allowance of vitamin E. Adding it on top of your yogurt or on top of your cereal might help. Other foods that are high in vitamin E are broccoli. So we can add some more broccoli to the diet. The use of peanut butter, especially when you're having a snack with apples, peanut butter and apples you like to eat. The use of sweet potatoes, which we know you really like to use, so we can add that, as well as an avocado. Making some guacamole and adding that. I know you're not a big fan of. But again, we want to try to limit the fruit because you're already overeating the amount of fruit because we know you are a fruit eater. But maybe changing some of the fruit intake and adding some fruit such as kiwis will help. So those were about the most crucial elements of your diet. So we know that you drink 2 bottles of water, which is about 6 to 8 cups. So we want to make sure that you're getting your 8 cups of water a day. That way all of your requirements, and it will help flush your system of all the toxins. We want to decrease your added sugar by increasing your water consumption.